Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1494B, and today's date is February 9th, 2018, and the title of the episode is Shh, the Deep State was just duped. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, we know that the Olympics have started today, and what's very interesting is that the deep state, they were kind of duped because the Olympics started and the U.S. was supposed to have drills during the Olympics. This is what the deep state actually wanted. And the U.S., the Trump administration said, no, we're not going to have drills during this period of time. And of course, the deep state didn't like this whatsoever. Now, what the deep state didn't realize, and maybe they did realize this, is that this was part of the overall plan that China and Russia put together. It was called the dual freeze. And if you noticed that during this period of time where the U.S. stopped having drills in this area, North Korea has not fired any missiles. Now, the corporate media was out there saying that they're getting prepared for another missile launch. They were, building it up, but they never actually did it. And we can see that Russia finally came out and they actually said the dual freeze plan is working. So there was an agreement behind the scenes discussing this dual freeze plan. And now, again, Russia is out there saying that it is working. They also call on all parties to use this window of opportunity that they have right now to speak to each other. And they said this window of opportunity will last up until about April. So it looks like there's a time limit to this plan. And they want dialogue between the U.S., North Korea, South Korea. South Korea has already agreed to speak. Now it's time for the U.S. to get to the table. Now, of course, Mattis was out there saying that we're going down the path of diplomacy. We know that we want to have some type of peace negotiations. We see that the corporate media, the deep state, they don't want this to happen. This is why they've been pushing their agenda, trying to start something up here. We know that the deep state, they've been trying to push their agenda with other countries like Iran. They've been trying to push it with Syria. They're using whatever methods they've used before to push their agenda. And what we're seeing right now, it's not working. Actually, it's all kind of falling apart. Even though they keep trying, it's not moving forward in the way they would like. Where we see that they pushed the idea that, Iran was supplying missiles to the Houthis in Yemen. That whole thing that Nikki Haley put together fell apart. No one bought into that. We also see that, Assad used chemical weapons. He's using sarin or chlorine. And Mattis was already out there saying that, listen, there's no evidence whatsoever that they are using chemical weapons. And we also have the French now. Their French defense minister saying that there's no reliable evidence of chlorine used by Syrian government. We don't have the data. We don't have the proof. There's nothing here. So all the countries now are looking at this saying, yeah, we don't have any information, and they're all pulling back. Actually, France is looking to get closer and closer with Russia right now. They're moving away from the United States. Now, we also had this attack on the coalition forces. They were saying that, the Syrian armed forces, they attacked the coalition forces, so they retaliated. But the whole entire story doesn't make sense. How do you explain one casualty of the claimed battalion-sized attack with strong artillery support with one wounded SDF fighter? A later U.S. military statement to a journalist seems to be vague about the reality of an attack. After 20 to 30 artillery and tank rounds landed within 500 meters of the SDF headquarters location, Syrian Democratic Forces supported by the coalition targeted the aggressors with a combination of air and artillery strikes. So the U.S. military was out there saying that, they were trying to hit the SDF headquarters location. But the tank rounds landed 500 meters away. I mean, that doesn't make sense at all. And why did they land 500 meters away? And why is that seen as a direct attack? Tank rounds may deviate from the target point by maybe a meter or two if they're really trying to hit it, but there's no chance that rounds are going to land 500 meters away of their intended target. It makes no sense whatsoever. Maybe they were hitting the Islamic State, maybe they were hitting something completely different. But that whole story doesn't make sense. Now, the incident that they're putting out there is very similar to the unprovoked U.S. attack on Syrian troops in September of 2016. The air attack killed 100 Syrian troops who were then encircled and holding out against the Islamic State forces. At that time, it nearly enabled the Takfiris to eliminate the last Syrian government position in the east. So it looks like they're using the same exact tactic, where they're saying that we were attacked, so that gave us permission to attack the Syrian forces. But it looks like the whole thing was made up, just like it was made up back then. And they were trying to push their agenda of starting a war. This is why Manus was out there saying he's perplexed. It makes no sense. This is why Russia's looking into it. This was a move by the deep state to try to push their agenda, because right now they're saying, this chlorine gas attacks, sarin gas attacks. They're using this propaganda against Syria, and they're trying to push their agenda in this area. But it's all falling apart. It's not working anymore. And we can see at this point that everything is falling apart right in front of our eyes. The United States most likely will be downgraded. It already was by Chinese rating agency. Probably follow up by Moody's and then S&P. The whole thing is just going to completely fall apart. We see that we're trying to make this transition into a new system to make sure that there's not that many people hurt by this. Yes, people are going to lose their wealth. There's no way around it. The dollar system is broken. The central bankers, they broke it. And we can see right now that we're moving into, hopefully, a new system outside of the central banking system. Now, on the other hand, the central banking system with the deep state, they want everyone moved into their new system. And this is why they're trying to crash the system right now. And how do you crash the system? It's very easy. Bring down the market. Boom. The system's crashed. Who do you blame it on? You blame it on Trump. That's all they have to do. Now, if that doesn't work out, because it looks like they're having a little bit of trouble, but they might be improving their plan come next week of bringing down the system. But we can see every time they bring it down, it's countered. The next phase would be if they can't get anywhere with the market, they'll bring in some type of physical or cyber attack type of an event to basically bring it down, blame it on Trump and another country. Because if they blame it on North Korea, say North Korea hacked into the system, or if they try to use Russia again, I think that'd be a little bit difficult to do. But if they tried to use North Korea to say, yes, they hacked into the system, just like they'd hacked, all the computer systems around the world with the WannaCry, and then the other type of ransomware. That's why they've been trying to blame North Korea on those two type of an events, even though they had nothing to do with it. They can say, because of Trump's economic policies, because of the way he handled North Korea, they attacked the United States. This is why the corporate media has been out there saying that North Korea is preparing a ballistic missile. They can hit the United States. They're able to use cyber attacks. This is why cyber attacks now are an act of war. So they do have the ability to play this up big time. If their strategy doesn't work, they can take it to the next level, and we could have a major, major event. Now remember, the central banks, they're not going to give They don't care about a soft transition. They don't care about making it easier for the people. If or when they're going to do this or try to do this, they're going to bring it down very, very hard, very, very quickly. That's how they work. They don't care how many people get hurt. They don't care if you lose your wealth. They don't care if you're prepared for it. They don't care if they want rioting in the streets. They want anarchy. They want chaos. They want all of this because this feeds into their system. This feeds into their fear-mongering, their fear-driven policies to get you to do what they want you to do. They want those things to happen. So here we are. We have the Olympics starting in North Korea. We have drills going on in the West where they're blacking out GPS. We have the entire system teetering on disaster. The deep state, well, they're being investigated, and a lot of facts and information is coming out. The central banks, they are under threat from cryptocurrencies. I mean, think about what's happening here. All of this is happening at once, and it looks like either they have this event or they die off quietly and we go into a soft transition into a completely new type of system. Or they don't die off and just scurry away and go to trial and all these other things. They have an event. They bring down the system. They create a major distraction away from everything that has been happening in the past, to make sure that people don't understand what was happening, to make sure people don't understand that the central banks were responsible, make sure that they understand that the deep state, those individuals, they weren't corrupt, they weren't doing anything illegal. This is what the event would do. It would distract everyone, just back in 9/11, when the 2 trillion was missing the day before, and it was being brought up, and then all of a sudden everyone just forgot about it. I mean, yes, there's a lot of different agendas with 9/11, but this is what they do. Just like they had the Patriot Act ready to go right after 9/11. Thousands and thousands of pages. I mean, you just don't push print and it just appears. Someone had to create it, prepare it for a specific reasons. And this is what they're doing right now. They're getting ready to do something for a specific reason. The specific reason is to distract from everything that's going on and to make sure that people don't go into the crypto market. Make sure that this is not where we're transitioning. Make sure that the investigations stop so no one's held accountable. Make sure everything is blamed on the Trump administration and those people that are in government right now. Make sure that it's blamed on another country to start a war so they can eventually transition everything to their new system, which is most likely going to be in China. This is their plan. This is what they want to do. So no matter what, get ready, get prepared, because one of these two scenarios is going to happen. Hopefully it's the softer transition, but we can see that the deep state, we can see that the central bankers, they play dirty. They like to use a lot of false flags. They like to hurt people. And we can see that they will stop at nothing to reach their goal. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.